Last night emotions ran high as fans tuned in to the preseason finale between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chicago Bears, an event that had been billed as the last opportunity for the team to polish their game before the real season began. Yet the outcome shocked many because the Chiefs narrowly lost 29-27, leaving Travis Kelce and his teammates walking off the field disappointed, while Taylor Swift, who was present in the stadium suite wearing his number 87 jersey, witnessed every tense moment with visible concern and deep involvement, as described by several people who were close to the situation and later confirmed that she had been visibly shaken by the way things ended. Not angry, but saddened for her boyfriend and for the team she has now become so connected to through her constant appearances at Arrowhead. Because this was not just any preseason game to her. It was a chance to see the man she loves close out the summer strong before stepping into the demanding regular season. And when the closing minutes spiraled out of control, the pop star was reported to have covered her face with her hands during the crucial drives, a gesture noticed by eyewitnesses who mentioned that they could read her lips as she silently repeated words of encouragement, urging the players to push through. And when the Chiefs scored late and seemed on the verge of pulling a comeback, she reacted with the joy of someone hearing her name announced at a major award ceremony, springing to her feet in the suite as if the moment carried personal victory. Yet when the final whistle confirmed the defeat, she remained seated for almost 10 minutes, gazing across the field quietly as security noted she did not storm out, but rather sat there with heartache etched across her expression, processing what had just unfolded for Travis, for the Chiefs, and for herself as someone emotionally invested in this chapter of her life. And this gesture highlighted the loyalty she has shown throughout her relationships, the same loyalty witnessed during the years she supported Joe Alwyn through successes and disappointments, except now magnified because her partnership with Travis Kelce unfolds publicly with cameras, social media commentary, and constant fan speculation, which makes each reaction more visible and amplified. And what compounded the weight of this particular night was timing. Since only weeks remain before the season's official start, and Travis has dedicated his offseason to grueling preparation, training sessions, focus, and discipline, with Taylor watching much of that effort, aware of what the sport means to him. And so when the scoreboard did not favor the Chiefs, she felt the sting as though the loss was hers as well, prompting her to break from her usual pattern, because instead of waiting patiently for him to finish his locker room moments with teammates, she went straight down to meet him afterward, understanding that immediate comfort was what he needed most. And imagining her in that role underscores a striking reality, because she's a global superstar used to controlling stages, sets, and narratives, used to shaping outcomes through her artistry. But here she faced a scenario entirely out of her hands, unable to rewrite, unable to adjust, unable to sway results with a lyric or a melody, and in that powerlessness the true measure of her devotion shone, showing that love for her is not glamorous red carpet strolls alone. It is sitting quietly in the suite with hands pressed against her face. It is walking hallways after a loss. It is sharing the pain of someone else as though it were carved onto her own heart. And while details of their conversation after the game remain private, people familiar with Taylor's way of comforting those close to her believe she may have reminded him of past comebacks, victories carved out of adversity. Or perhaps she gently placed the night in perspective by reminding him that preseason games are not championships, that greater challenges lie ahead where his resilience will count most. And meanwhile, fans on social media refuse to dwell on disappointment, instead rallying around Travis with an outpouring of encouraging comments, flooding his accounts with words of support, and making the hashtag #SwiftySupportTravis trend widely as Swifties embraced him as part of their extended family. A collective show of solidarity demonstrating how seamlessly Taylor's followers have welcomed her partner into their fold. An observer suggested that what all this reveals is the deep foundation beneath the couple's relationship, one that endures both thrilling wins and sobering defeats. So rather than allowing a preseason stumble to undermine them, it will likely cement their connection further, giving them strength for what is ahead. And speaking of strength, let me say this. If you want continuous updates like these, hit subscribe now, because you don't want to miss the coverage coming when the season kicks off. And with that gesture, you become part of a growing community that tracks every twist in the journey of Taylor and Travis. And back at the stadium, many wondered whether at the next game Taylor might arrive with close friends from her circle, perhaps fellow artists or actresses, to show public solidarity. And regardless of who joins her, cameras will surely capture her reactions, which will once again be covered in detail for fans eager to see not only the sporting outcome, but also the personal expressions of support that color the experience. And ultimately, the spectacle we witnessed last night went beyond the final scoreline. It was a human story of commitment, of standing by someone when setbacks strike, of feeling another's defeat as though it is shared. And Taylor Swift, known for wearing emotions openly through her songwriting, now extends that same vulnerability into her relationship, turning stadium seats into silent stages where her heart is visible in gestures rather than lyrics. And that blend of music, sport, and love keeps the world fascinated. So as the preseason fades and the real battles line up, eyes will stay on this couple, waiting to see how they navigate the roller coaster together. And while fans may debate whether such intensity is warranted for a preseason game, what remains undeniable is her devotion, her presence, her refusal to detach when things get hard. Because to her, this is not spectacle. It is real life. It is real love. And this episode closes with that reminder that sometimes the stories worth telling are not about victories alone, but about resilience when the outcome stings. So if you've been moved by hearing this unfold, remember to subscribe right now. Because with Taylor and Travis, the story never sleeps, and every new chapter deserves to be shared. So until the next update, the tale remains that Taylor Swift stayed at her suite long after the whistle, walked hallways straight to Travis instead of waiting, and stood not as superstar detached, but as partner engaged, proving once again that in the world of flashing cameras and roaring crowds, the quiet moments of loyalty speak loudest. And those who saw her last night will not forget the sight of a global icon silently mouthing encouragement, cheering fiercely, and sitting heartbroken when the scoreboard froze. Because it was all real, every gesture genuine, every glance telling. And as preseason fades into memory, that night stands as testimony that love shows itself most clearly not in celebration, but in shared disappointment. And with the Swifties rallying behind them, the couple steps forward into the season ahead, stronger than before, grounded not only in passion, but in shared endurance. And this coverage ends reminding all who watched that the heart of the story was not just football, it was the story of two people walking through the aftermath together. And as long as their journey continues, we will be here, telling it as it unfolds.
Thank you for watching.